Imagine two people, same job, same salary, same city, same cost of living. 5 years later, one of them has $18,000 in savings, a growing investment account, and zero debt. The other one is still living paycheck to paycheck, wondering where all the money goes every single month. Same income. Completely different financial lives. So what happened? Was it luck? A secret investment? A side hustle? No, it was one habit. One tiny invisible habit that most people have normalized so completely, they don't even see it as a problem. In fact, most people actually think this habit makes them smarter with money, and that habit is the minimum payment, not credit cards themselves, not debt in general, specifically the deeply ingrained habit of making the minimum payment on a credit card and feeling completely fine about it. Today, we're going to break down exactly how this one habit quietly destroys wealth over years and decades, why your brain is actually wired to fall into it, and what the numbers really look like when you zoom out. By the end of this video, you will never look at that little minimum payment box the same way again. Let's start with something most of us have felt. You get your credit card statement. The balance says $3,400. Your stomach drops a little, but then your eyes drift down to that other number and the minimum payment. It says $68. $68. That's nothing. That's manageable. That's one dinner out. You pay it, you move on, and that small feeling of anxiety evaporates completely. Here's the psychological trap. That relief is real. Your brain genuinely registers this as a problem solved. You paid the bill. You're responsible. You didn't miss a payment. Everything is fine. This is what behavioral economists call task completion bias. When we complete an action, even a partial one, our brain rewards us with a small shot of relief as if the whole problem is handled. The credit card companies didn't accidentally design the minimum payment this way. They designed it exactly this way on purpose because they understand how your brain works better than most people understand themselves. And here's the belief that makes it all stick together. Most people genuinely think that as long as they're making payments, they're making progress. They think the debt is slowly going away. They think they're being responsible. The truth is, in most cases, they are barely treading water. And in some cases, they are actually going backwards. Let's use a real example and follow the math. Say you carry a $3,000 balance on a credit card with a 22% annual interest rate. That's not an extreme number. The current average credit card interest rate in the United States is around 21 to 24%. So $3,000 at 22%. Your minimum payment each month is roughly 2% of the balance, which starts at about $60. Now, most people assume that paying $60 a month on a $3,000 debt means the debt is gone in about 4 or 5 years. That feels reasonable, right? 3,000 divided by 60 is 50 months. About 4 years. Simple math. But that's not how compound interest works. Here's what actually happens. In that first month, your $3,000 balance is charged roughly $55 in interest. You pay $60. So only $5 of your payment goes toward the actual debt. The other $55 just paid the bank for the privilege of borrowing money. The next month, your balance is $2,995. They charge interest on that. You make another small payment. Another tiny sliver comes off the principal. And this cycle continues month after month, year after year. If you only make minimum payments on that $3,000 balance, you will spend over 14 years paying it off. And by the time it's done, you will have paid nearly $6,500 in total, more than double the original balance. You borrowed $3,000 and paid back $6,500. That extra $3,500 didn't go to your savings. It didn't go to investments. It didn't go to experiences or goals or building your future. It silently transferred from your wallet into a bank's profit report, one minimum payment at a time, spread across 14 years so gradually that you barely felt it happening. This is why it's called a silent wealth destroyer. It doesn't feel like losing money. It feels like managing money, and those two things look completely different but produce the same outcome. The psychology behind it. Now, here's where it gets really interesting because the math alone doesn't explain why intelligent, capable people fall into this trap for years. For that, we have to understand a few things about how the human brain handles money and time. The first is something called present bias. Our brains are hardwired to care much more about right now than about 10 years from now. When you're staring at a $3,000 bill and a $60 minimum payment option, your brain does a very specific calculation. It compares the pain of paying $300 or $400 this month to the abstract, distant cost of paying more over time. And every time, the brain chooses to relieve immediate pain, even at a massive long-term cost. This isn't a character flaw. This is literally how human brains evolved. For most of human history, there was no future financial planning. There was food today or no food today. The present was what mattered. Your brain is doing exactly what it was built to do. It's just that wiring is catastrophically mismatched with modern financial products, designed by teams of mathematicians and psychologists. The second psychological force is called anchoring. When you see a minimum payment of $68, that number becomes the mental anchor for what you owe this month. Your brain doesn't naturally calculate the full cost of the debt. It anchors to that small, comfortable number the bank placed right in front of you. Studies have shown that when minimum payment amounts are displayed on statements, people pay less than they would have otherwise. The anchor pulls the behavior downward. The third is normalization. Because nearly everyone around us carries credit card debt, and nearly everyone makes minimum payments, it starts to feel like the normal, acceptable way to handle money. We unconsciously calibrate our financial behavior to the people around us. If everyone you know is doing it, it doesn't feel like a problem. It feels like just how life works. These three forces, present bias, anchoring, and normalization, work together to keep millions of people locked in a cycle that slowly bleeds their financial future dry, 1 month at a time. Here's the deeper idea that changes how you see this. Every dollar that goes to credit card interest is not just a dollar you spent, it is a dollar that also cannot compound in your favor. Think about it this way. Let's say instead of paying $3,500 in interest over those 14 years, you had that money working for you in an index fund earning an average of 8% annually. That $3,500 invested over a decade doesn't just stay $3,500. It grows, it compounds, and over time that money starts making money on the money it already made. The real cost of the minimum payment habit is not just the interest you pay, it is the wealth you never build, because that money was redirected before it ever had the chance. This is called the opportunity cost, and it is almost never talked about when people discuss credit card debt. They focus on the interest rate, they focus on the balance, but they rarely frame it this way. Every dollar stuck in a debt cycle is a dollar that is actively working against you on one side, and not working for you on the other side. You are losing the game from both ends simultaneously, and the gap between where you are and where you could be widens with every month that passes. There's a phrase that captures this perfectly. So what do? You don't need to quit credit cards. You need to break the habit. Step 1, ignore the minimum payment. Treat it as irrelevant. Your real target? Pay as much as possible. Step 2, use the 3x rule. Take your minimum payment and triple it. If it says $60, you pay $180. This alone cuts years off your debt. Step 3, focus on one card. Use the avalanche method. Pay highest interest debt first. This saves you the most money. Step 4, create friction. Make it harder to spend. Remove saved cards. Lower limits. Use debit for daily spending. Step 5, change identity. Stop saying, I'm managing debt. Start saying, I don't carry debt. That shift changes behavior. The minimum payment isn't just a number, it's a trap. A slow, invisible system designed to keep you paying for years. And the scary part? Most people never escape it. But now you see it. And once you see it, you can't unsee it. So next time you open your statement, don't ask, what's the minimum I can pay? Ask them, how fast can I get out? Because wealth isn't built by what you earn, it's built by what you keep and what you allow to grow. Wealth is not about how much you earn. It is about how much you keep and how well the money you keep gets to work. The minimum payment habit makes sure that a very specific portion of your money never gets to work at all.